Anybody who makes it to the end of this video, God help you. This is the biggest stream of consciousness, rambly type video. It went on for far too long. It took me like 2.5 hours to make. I apologize in advance. Thanks. 3 years ago, I put up a YouTube video called 3 Tips That Helped Me Become a Better Reader. And I haven't read a single book since that video was posted. I am now actively reading again, and I'm going to explain what's been going on. Today's video is another pushing myself off the cliff to get myself started type video. I don't really have a plan for it, but I saw a video by Jack Joseph I think it was 3 days ago, talking about his mental health and his physical health, not liking how he is living life at the minute, and his process into his 90-day transformation, which is mental because I've also been in that mindset of wanting to transform in a way, building better habits for myself, start taking care of myself mentally and physically. And it was just quite inspiring to see him start this journey very honestly, very nervously. So I kind of want to jump on that while I have the motivation and talk about some things and plans that I've been implementing to try and transform myself. I've been struggling for a while with some negative habits that I can't seem to shake. Only over the last couple of months, I've been able to start chipping away at those and start to implement better habits into my life. I'm going to try and break down some of the things that I've been having issues with and their current status. And then I'll talk about how I've started making new habits, why I've started making new habits, and how that's been going, basically. When I was younger, I believed I was addicted to video games. Whenever I got my first Xbox, I think all kids get this phase where they don't want to go out anymore. They don't want to play outside. They just get hooked on their game, hooked on their console, and just play that flat out. I think I felt myself slip into like a void of gaming where I just wanted to do that and nothing else. I didn't really go outside anymore. I still was socializing with friends online, but I felt that I wasn't being as physically active or socially active. Gaming was one that I needed to take a big step back from, in my own opinion. I remember first getting my Xbox 360, getting Xbox Live and starting to play games online. I actually got pretty good at first person shooter games, and that just became my crutch. That was the game. Like if I didn't know what I wanted to play, that was what I was on. And I had friends at the time that were very much in the same boat. Something inside me realized that I was hooked a wee bit too much. It was all I was thinking about. It was all I wanted to do. when I got home from school or any other interaction with family or friends. All I wanted to do was stay up late and game, and that became a problem in school when I would stay up late and go into school exhausted, or come home from school and not have homeworks done because I just wanted to game. It was daft. This was one thing that I personally decided that I needed to sever my connection with. No one told me to get rid of my console or change my habits with gaming, but this was the first time in my life that I had decided that I had a problem and wanted to change it. So I took my Xbox 360 and sold it on eBay, possibly somewhere like that, just to get it out of sight and out of mind. And then I began being more social. I'm pretty sure there was about 3 to 4 years where I just didn't have a games console in the house. In my room specifically, I believe my brother had one, but regarding my gaming issues, I didn't want to be near it. I wanted to be out skateboarding again. This was around about the time I started picking up the board again. Just wanted to be out. I didn't want to be sitting behind a screen having sore heads and sore eyes and just wasting away indoors. Gaming was an addiction that snuck up on me. I wasn't expecting it to go as heavy as it did. Currently, I have a PS5. I play video games from time to time, more infrequent than usual. Whenever I find a game that I'm excited about or that my friends or family are playing, I give myself that capability to jump on and spend a couple of days just obsessing over it for a while. But I know that my life has to be a bit more productive now. I have bills to pay. I have a dog to look after. I have a house to clean. I can't just spend every day coming home and rotting behind a controller. So gaming was the first of many of my issues. This habit is one that I really wasn't expecting to talk about. Is whenever I was younger, my uncle smoked. Very common thing. But me as a kid thought that was completely absurd. Why would anyone want to be smoking cigarettes? I couldn't comprehend addiction properly at that time. And I remember talking to my mom about the situation and naively saying that if I was addicted to cigarettes and I knew it was bad for me, I would just stop. And the same with unhealthy eating was the other topic at the moment. I said, but if you want to eat healthier, then just stop eating unhealthy. And my mom kind of gave me this face of you have no idea what you're talking about, and just kind of ended the conversation there. And I remember that very vividly because I thought that was a strange reaction. I wholeheartedly believed that if I was addicted to something, I could just switch off that part of my brain and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And it would just end like that. This habit was one that blindsided me. This is also a habit that most of my family don't realize that I had. Electric cigarettes, vapes, as they're called more commonly. Started vaping with absolutely no reason. Just really wanted to see what they were like. People in my friends circle were also using them, so I was like, it doesn't seem that dangerous, that bad. And I personally became heavily addicted to these. I was smoking every single day, spending far too much money on vapes, and it became so bad that I needed to cut myself off. Breaking point for me was having a vape in my bedside table. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night unprompted, and my immediate reaction was to reach for the vape, take a toke, and put it away. The only thing in the room that was lit up was the blue light at the end of the disposable vape. And I remember waking up the next morning and being like, surely that wasn't real. Surely I didn't internally have an urge to do that in the middle of the night. And I realized that this has become a serious problem. It's been a very long time since I bought a vape, but on occasion I will still smoke off whoever has one. Not a day goes past that I do not crave it when I see it. It's very, very difficult when I see someone driving past vaping, or when I am in any shop that has disposable vapes and it just has some wee hold on my brain. I actively have made myself dislike vaping. I've tried to give myself the ick from vapes themselves, basically gaslighting myself into not liking vapes. but it still has some sort of little hook in my brain that I have a craving for every now and then that I have to just actively push down. I just want to apologize to my mum for being so naive and stupid at that age to think that people who have addiction should just stop. That is completely absurd, and I know I now understand that. This next one is one that is still ongoing. I'm still working on it. It's really tough for me. I got obsessed with energy drinks, hooked on them. I was drinking them every single day, at least one tin a day, sometimes two. Specifically, Monster Energy and Red Bull were the two front runners. Monster Energy, I was obsessed with. I don't believe there's anything wrong with having an energy drink. I think it's a decent source of caffeine. If you're having a low sugar one, then that's even better. But the way that I was consuming energy drinks was absolutely ridiculous. Buying multi packs of them and drinking them as early in the morning as possible, which is ridiculous. It was basically a Monster Energy for breakfast, which is not good for your body or your teeth or your energy levels. It was just a bad road to go down. The steps that I've taken to stop myself drinking them was I got a sobriety app, which sounds completely ridiculous and unnecessary, trying to compare sobriety to an energy drink addiction. But luckily in this app, there was different reasons you could download it if you were quitting smoking or quitting something like energy drinks or vaping or drinking alcohol. I set it up for energy drinks and it asks you to pledge your reason for doing it. And I basically explained that it's gonna eventually deteriorate my health. I want to be as healthy as possible for as long as possible because I have a wife to be and a dog and family and friends that I want to be around for. So the sobriety app helped me stop my everyday drinking because I was opening the app and activating the wee pledge button to remind me why I'm doing it. It got me off them for about a month straight, which I thought was very impressive. The problem comes when I get to that month mark and I'm like, I deserve a wee reward. I think I could have one. And that's part of the problem. I've completely fallen off the bandwagon of sobriety, for lack of a better term. I've had a Monster Energy drink over the last couple of days, not back to back to back, but I had one maybe 3 days ago. I had one 2 days ago, and I have to keep resetting the sobriety tracker, which is a big kick in the teeth. But I think that's what I need to motivate me to eventually stop drinking them altogether. They're really not that good. I love the flavors of Monster Energy, but they're really not that good. I don't know why I was so obsessed with them. I'm still working towards getting rid of this habit, drinking a bit more water, things like that. I'm not even going to start talking about soft drinks because that is a battle I am not prepared to start. But energy drinks is getting a good kick out of my life sometime soon. The last habit's a bit of a weird one to try and break or even really talk about. It's negative self-talk. Talking about this habit is a bit of a strange one. I have it wrote down here as negative self-talk, but I think it's more of a lack of positive self-talk that is the problem. I'm not constantly tearing myself to shreds. I did have a period of time where I was very negative, and any achievements that I was getting, I would play down, or I would talk very horribly about my physical appearance, and I would kind of bully myself for things that I'd done in the past and not matured from or should have known better, which is one I think everyone struggles with, the negative or the dark parts of their brain that just like to chip away at who they are. That's one that is an ongoing struggle from whenever I reached adolescence to now, and it's one that I'm trying to chip away at and start to enforce positive habits and positive self-talk. Completely lost the train of thought there. Back in that YouTube video that I made 3 years ago, I talked about having difficulties with my mental health and getting assistance from professionals like a counselor and a personal development coach. My personal development coach, or brain coach as I called her in that video, helped me work towards the person I wanted to be, talking about my future self and what they would look like and how they would act. and that has sat in my brain from that time period and hasn't really been actioned until recently. I've wanted to take big drastic steps to chop out these bad habits and implement some positive change, like a reading system or journaling a bit more, some physical exercise that excites me and I can do consistently. But I haven't actually pulled the trigger on making those changes. The real purpose of this video is to talk about what is changing in my life at the minute. I am reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've had this book a while and never actually finished it or really took it too seriously while I was reading it. But now I'm starting to work on implementing the things that I'm reading into my life, and I'm going to break down what exactly I've been doing to try and take these negative habits and make something better out of them. One thing that really started this transformation was I had the idea for some self-improvement system that was gamified. It led me to searching online and downloading apps that would build positive habits while also like rewarding you like a video game. I've heard that that's a very good system for building positive habits because that gamification makes it a bit addictive, like my addiction to gaming. So turning that into something positive. Those apps were helpful to get me started. It helped me do things like start drinking more water and start reading. But the apps then were paywalls and didn't really want to have a subscription to try and work on my mental and physical health. I'm trying to piece together a system that I can do analog style working. The first thing I did was get myself a little journal and cover it in stickers, just random stickers that I had lying about to make this a bit more personal. I've been using this book to write down really random thoughts that come into my head. Well, that's how it started. It started with just on a given day, me writing down something that happened or something that I thought about. And over time, it's developed into a bit more of a serious journaling exercise, a bit more introspective thinking, and talking about how I actually feel in a moment. Oh my God, I do not know what I'm doing. I actually made myself a habit tracking spreadsheet, which looks like this. It's not very robust. It kind of copies the one in Atomic Habits, but it's also very relevant to that video that I saw by Jack Joseph. He has also made a habit tracking spreadsheet. He's actually even made a Discord channel to motivate people to do the 90-day transformation and encourage each other, keep each other accountable, which is really exciting. The way my habit tracker is going to work is I have a minimum level and a maximum level for completing each of my tasks. For example, if I want to read every day, the minimum I have to read is 5 minutes. The maximum is 10 minutes plus. The plus meaning I could just read for an hour if I genuinely am enjoying it and want to keep going. And I can mark that off by either a single line or an X the whole way through the box to tick it off for the day. Things like jiu-jitsu training is not something that I'm getting to do every single day. So it doesn't have a min level. It just has a completion level. Things like cold showering, I've put a time limit on them for the minimum, and then the maximum can be as long as it needs to be. This spent the last hour and a half trying to make a video. I've been recording bits and pieces, but have inevitably had a hard time getting it finished. I'm struggling to piece together the point of what I'm trying to say or what I'm trying to do with this channel, with these types of videos. Meg sitting over my shoulder is just making me laugh a wee bit. Um, I feel like I'm rambling a lot, and I don't know if that's okay. I'm acting as if someone's forcing me to make these videos, and the perfectionism in me isn't letting me push on, even though it's not perfect. The real reason I wanted to record today is I've been reading more. I've been reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. For anyone that doesn't know what that looks like, there it is. And in the chapter that I've just finished, it talks about living in motion instead of living in action. And it really resonated with me last night. It feels like for the longest time I've been living in motion of wanting to do these things, planning these things, talking about these things, and that process gives your brain enough of a pat on the back to not actually do the thing that you're talking about doing. For the longest time I've wanted to start a business or start my own brand or make content or design something, and I talk about it and I plan it and I brainstorm and I mood board, but I never actually make anything substantial. I make small things like a hoodie or a t-shirt or like a couple of Instagram posts, but I never take it seriously enough to make anything substantial or something that I would be proud of or consider successful. In the book, talking about living in motion, it says that we do that to delay the risk of failure. And I think that's what's going on right now. I'm finding so much resistance trying to finish the thing that I've just started today that I was excited to start when I started it. And it's so annoying. It's like an internal battle. I've been talking about really serious topics for the last 2 hours-ish, but I don't know how to wrap it up. And then that puts me in a dark place. Like, you're not prepared for this. You don't know what you're doing. The negative self-talk comes in, and the self-doubt of why do I have to make this video perfect? I'm not trying to do anything with it, if you know what I mean. It's a really weird situation. It's like, if this video is not perfect, it's going to affect me forever, which is absurd because that is obviously not the case. I talk a lot about habits in the last couple of videos because I'm reading Atomic Habits. I talk about loads of negative habits that I've had, addictions that I've had that I've been working on cutting out of my life. Got really intense, got kind of deep on some of them, and then the positive habits, but I can't process my thoughts properly to get it into a coherent video. So this video is going to be posted just so that I can say that I posted something and started the ball rolling. I keep using that term of get the ball rolling. Like, this is me trying to take action. I think I just needed to shake off the cobwebs there. That's not even the right term. I wanted to just shake myself loose from that self-doubt or the resistance, at least, from trying to finish this. I'm going to try and go back over everything that I've just recorded and work it into something cohesive. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be useful to anyone. It's just something that has been in my head and I want to talk about. So that's what I'm going to do. Made myself a coffee, fired a hoodie on. I'm comfortable now. Time to get out of the comfort zone. You can see I've put a hoodie on and things have moved around in here. I was getting too cold and getting too frustrated trying to complete this video, which you probably saw a couple snippets of there. I'm going to keep powering through, so please excuse the change in environment and outfit. What does any of this have to do with the video that I posted 3 years ago? I want to just talk about some of the tips that I said in that video and how that's helping me right now. Being inspired by Jack Joseph's challenge, these apps that help me build habits, and this book specifically, Atomic Habits, it's motivated me to create an analog system that can help me improve in everyday life. There are many things that I want to have as habits, as I spoke about in that video 3 years ago. I wanted to become a good reader. Back then, I thought that was my turning point, but it wasn't. 3 years down the line, no additional books have been added to my read list. Atomic Habits was given to me in between that time frame, but I hadn't got myself back into a regular reading practice. So one of the habits that I really, really want to keep in my life and become better at is reading. Another thing is drinking more water. I spoke a bit about having an energy drink addiction, and I mildly joked at a soft drink addiction as well. That one is crippling me and will live on for quite a long while. But water is something that I have just never been a fan of drinking, which is so strange. Don't know why. That's one that I want to increase my frequency in doing. Another habit is journaling, which I spoke about briefly there. That's one that I've had trouble with sticking to over long periods of time. It always starts with like, I'll journal for a couple of days, and then things just fizzle out as time goes on. I want to create systems that'll help encourage me in keeping these habits. I spun it around to show you the tracking list. I'll just read out some of the habits that I'm working on, positive ones, and then the negative ones that I'm obviously trying to remove are all mixed in here. I want to read more. I want to drink more water. I want to ensure that I stop vaping for the long haul, so that's on here as well. Meditation is something that I was very big into, as I mentioned in that last video 3 years ago. The Wim Hof method was one that transformed my view on meditation and the powers it could hold. That sounds absurd the way I've worded that, but meditation is very good for you. It's a habit that I really enjoyed when I had it and lost it and haven't really got that bite back for it. So that's something I want to try and increase frequency of as well. The next one on my list is a bit of a weird one. It says compliment someone, but the bigger picture behind that is about doing something morally good every single day. Complimenting someone is just an example of that. So if I can reach out to the people around me and boost their self-esteem, help them when they need to, or be there in a scenario that they need assistance, things like donating my old clothes or doing this charity fun run that Ben and I are doing for Crohn's and colitis. I want to start pushing good outwards in my life so that in turn I'll feel better about living life, and hopefully the gods of the universe that be will grant me good wishes because of it. Another thing on my task list or my habit tracker is walking Meg, our beautiful border collie. You've seen her stumbling about here. Since we got her, I've pretty much adopted this habit, but I like to just tick it off on a list, more of as a reminder to myself that I am doing good by Meg's standards and making sure she's getting the exercise she needs and the enrichment that she needs from being outside. 1 to 2 walks a day, ranging between 15 minutes to an hour. She'll get a good walk out of any of that range. I have on here jiu-jitsu training. This one's going to be different, as I mentioned earlier. There's no minimum level or maximum level. I suppose I could implement one of those, but it's a bit of a confusing one. I do plan on doing a bit more jiu-jitsu content, more intellectual jiu-jitsu content, not just videos of us grappling, like more of the logic and theory behind jiu-jitsu. And I have some stuff to talk about regarding my frequency in that field. But anytime I do jiu-jitsu, I'll tick it off. If I have to go 3-4 days without it, it obviously doesn't get checked. Journaling is on the habit tracker. Another one below that is cold showers. I've been doing that quite regularly. I have a love-hate relationship with these. It all kind of started from the Wim Hof method. Cold exposure is a big thing in that, as he's called the Iceman. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, love that. So cold showers have been a regular habit of mine at the end of my warm showers. I don't necessarily enjoy them. They require so much effort for me to do, but I keep doing it anyway, which is great. I'm building that habit. I'll only have the cold shower at the end of my warm shower when I'm having a shower regularly anyway. So it's not really an additional habit. It's just shower and then finish with cold exposure. But that's still just a habit that I want to increase. Another one I have on my list is a bit of a weird one. It's teeth and gum brushing. I've been at the dentist a lot and have had some issues with my gums, possibly from the copious amounts of energy drinks that I've been drinking, but it's something that I need to work on. So if I have it written down in an intentional way, it reminds me that this is something serious that needs to be focused on. And the last one that I have on here is running. There's obviously more habits that I want to add in here to to build me up to the person that I want to be. I haven't mentioned anything about lifting weights or exercise in that sense. But running is one that I've found a good passion in. It's helped me do things like a park run or like these charity events. I just did my longest run ever in that last video that I posted, the 10K run. So I'm seeing incremental improvements, and this habit specifically has been one that has helped me prove to myself that I can do what I set my mind to. Bit of a weird one, but that's what's going on with my habit tracker. Let's see. Oh, that coffee is cold. Rewinding all this back to what I said at the start, how does this relate to that video of me reading 3 years ago, becoming a better reader? I still believe in the tips that I gave in that video. Reducing friction, audiobooks are still books, and that you don't have to read everything. I think what I said there at the time is accurate. I just fell off hard. I fell off the bandwagon in a serious way. At the minute, I'm reducing friction by having the book with me at all times. It's in my bag when I go to work. Every night when I go to bed, I leave it beside my bed so that when I wake up in the morning, it reminds me to read it. I've been reading it mostly in the mornings for 10 minutes when I'm eating my breakfast after I've let Meg out to the toilet and stuff like that. Or if I miss that deadline, I do it in work at lunchtime, or I'll do it right before bed. So I haven't really got that system worked out for making it simple, reducing the friction, but it's a hell of a better step than I have been doing with all these books just put away. I didn't even show you any of the other books. These are all the books that I probably showed in the last video too. All those books are just sitting in a cupboard in a room that we don't really use. So having at least the book that I'm reading on hand at all times has reduced a lot of friction for me. I still heavily support audiobooks. I listen to The Richest Man in Babylon regularly. It's been a while since I last listened to it, but I absolutely love that book. Haven't bought it. I just listened to the audio version, and I still enjoy it as much as I would if I was reading it. I may eventually invest in it just so that I can see the words on the paper and maybe journal alongside it instead of just having to listen to it. But audiobooks, 100% still on board with that. And the last tip in that video was about not having to read everything. This book still has not been read, The Essentialism by Greg McKeown. I am very sorry, Greg. I'm sure you put a lot of work into this book, but there's been a lot of resistance for me just picking that up and reading it for some reason. But I think after I read Atomic Habits, dear God, I will say that name right sometime. After I finish oh my God. After I finish Atomic Habits, I want to start chopping through the books that I have, reading them or getting rid of them if I'm not going to read them. And that's just it. That's just the way it is, man. The last bit in this transformation is talking about the negative self-talk that I've been dealing with for the longest time. I have a lot of issues with self-doubt and not believing in myself. Things like these really crazy habits of running and making myself do a 5K run or a 10K run just to prove to myself that I can do it. If I set my mind to something and then complete it, it's reinforcing that I am the person that I say I want to be. That's the real goal with this. I have a future self that I'm looking to plan that has all these great habits, and I'm still trying to find what they are and work towards that. So by talking to myself as if I'm the best version of myself, it's gonna this doesn't make sense the way I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm really trying to kick this negative self-talk. I have a lot of loved ones, friends and family that have a lot of lovely things to say about me. They think of me highly in some sense. And I also do think of myself highly in a little weird part of my brain. I know I'm capable of things. I deep down believe that I'm destined to do something good. I just don't know how to get there yet. And this is my journey for trying to get to that perfect self. I need to start being nicer to myself at all times. When I do these challenges, like a 5K run or a 10K run, I'm setting intentions. and completing them, which is a really, really good way of building this self-belief again. And while I'm doing these runs, I'm encouraging myself, I'm talking to myself, I'm having to live in my head and push myself to my very limit. All of this has been building that positive self-talk and incrementally making me a bit better. Um, there's a lot more to this topic that I need to talk about. There's so much going on in my head about where I want to be in life, whether it's regards to fitness, health, mentality, business, finances, relationships. Like, my head just feels like a whirlpool of thoughts and plans, and like, I don't know. It's really confusing, and making these videos, I'm hoping, is going to be a way for me to just like iron everything out, look at it from an outside point of view, and start to plan a way to make myself happy. That's overall the end goal. I've got a lot more videos planned. I'm pointing over at the computer screen where I'm looking at a list of ideas that I want to talk about. Um, but that's going to be the end of this. I've been rambling for far too long, and it's going to take me ages to edit this. So I'm done. Love you. Bye.